After 23 years and 75 million albums, the rock phenomenon KISS returns for a sold-out world tour. Who is this band with rock's most famous faces, and why after decades does the KISS phenomenon continue to carry on?
What KISS stands for is ageless. We sing about freedom, about truth, and about following your dreams.
The kings of shock rock, even after a 15-year breakup, still command a KISS army that numbers in the millions. The faithful want to know, what is the state of KISS?
It finally is now what it should have always been, which is four people who are grateful, who are happy to get up on that stage, and who make no bones about kicking your butt.
Who are these masked men and where did they come from? What drives them to push the extremes of rock spectacle? How did they overcome their past differences and finally reunite? What did it take to reclaim their title as the hottest band in the world? Come witness the rebirth of rock's most incredible band. The story of how Gene, Paul, Ace, and Peter reunited and wrote a new chapter in the history of rock and roll. This is KISS, and this is their story. With roots reaching back deep into the heart of New York City, the KISS story began. In the early 1960s, Queens-born Paul Stanley's daily ritual of watching local and national American Bandstand-type TV shows spurred his embryonic quest for rock stardom. At the same time, Gene Simmons moved to the Big Apple from his native Israel and became obsessed with American rock and roll, movies, and comics. Growing up with similar ambitions and the trial and error of many garage bands, Simmons and Stanley's destinies finally crossed in 1968. The duo bonded and formed Wicked Lester, the band that would soon evolve into KISS. Despite Wicked Lester going as far as recording an album for Epic Records, an album that remains unreleased to this day, Gene and Paul vowed to continue on their own, envisioning a hard rock equivalent to the Beatles.
When we started KISS, we wanted to make sure that it was the ultimate rock and roll band, the band we dreamed of, the band no one had ever seen before.
Finding Brooklyn's own Peter Criss through the Classifieds and Rolling Stone, and a hotshot from the Bronx on lead guitar named Ace Frehley, the original lineup of KISS was born.
We all created our own characters, but basically they were all our alter egos.
Peter Criss considered himself someone who had 9 lives to survive his rough street upbringing. His Catman persona suited him from the start. Gene Simmons' demonic persona was an embodiment of every larger-than-life character that had ever enchanted him.
I know Ace sees his makeup as the spaceman, but to me what it's always looked like is a seismograph recording an earthquake. It's going off the Richter scale.
And there was Paul Stanley, rock star supreme, the star of the center stage and on-stage spokesman. It was only fitting that his makeup should exemplify his stellar inclination. According to Paul Stanley, they wanted a group image like the Beatles or the Stones had. Going on stage looking like they just walked off the street didn't appeal to them. They took the makeup that New York glitter rock bands were using and went to the extreme.
Paul Stanley thought of the name KISS. Ace came up with the original logo.
By early 1973, KISS began promoting their own New York area club shows.
We first performed any place that would have us. Clubs in Long Island, clubs in Queens, New York. We were at the mercy of the club owners because most people wouldn't have us.
We may have been delusional, but every one of us had the decidedly clear idea that we wanted to go out there and rule the world.
The band made its official debut at New York's Academy of Music, opening for Blue Oyster Cult. Little did the Cult know that in 2 short years to the day, they would be opening when KISS headlined Nassau Coliseum. People were talking about this brash new group. Seriously talking. Rock and roll!